I'm Parker Bosley, and I am going to show you how to make the very best stock to enhance your very best Thanksgiving dinner.
Hi, Trevor and Parker here to talk a little bit about making stock today. Parker, one of the questions we get every year when it comes to Thanksgiving is, boy, I just got my turkey on Monday, on Tuesday. How do I get all this done in time? Can I just buy stock from you? And I always tell them it's just such a simple process. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Absolutely. It's one of the easiest things that you can make, but it does need 100% of your attention because many people think you just throw a lot of stuff in a pot, fill it with water, boil it, and then it's done. But it's actually a very methodical process. You need a good stock pot to begin with, and preferably a heavy bottom pan so that you don't get any scorching on the bottom. And then you need some vegetables. And the classic and the traditional is always celery, onion, carrot. And add that with the bones and cover with water. And you want to cover it well, like 2, 3, even 4 inches. You'll never have too much water because it's only water at the beginning. So if you're skimming it away, you're not losing anything. Also, I'm going to talk about the kinds of bones that you're going to put in here. This is just one of the backs of a turkey. Chicken would be fine for this. And I have here the neck from a turkey. Chicken necks also would be fine. And this is all the way back of the chicken. And if you can see here that there's often some organ meat that is attached to the back. And I would suggest that you put on your gloves if you don't want to touch that stuff and scoop it out. That is a lot of meat bone for the size of the pan. You're going to get very rich stock. Okay, could I have some vegetables? Again, the carrot, the onion, and the celery. And here's the onion. I take the top off and leave the foot on. That was the root. It was in the soil this way. Now you have a surface and it's not going to roll around. And put your knife there and your hand over here. And then you can split it that way. You can take this skin off or you could leave it on. And show you how I'm going to chop an onion. First, I'm going to bring the knife from here to here to here. Not like this, but parallel. And that will, and then I'll take the knife in there, just a little bit, and of course you get perfectly chopped vegetables that way. And I'm going to add those to the pot. You don't have to worry about the shape or how neat or whatever. It's just that was something you can do if you think that's important. The same thing with the stalk of celery. And you can leave the leaves on, and there, it's almost like putting some parsley in. And likewise the carrot. I have some already chopped, and I'm going to add those. Otherwise, I'd have to peel this, and so I'll put those in. I'm going to fill this with water and bring it to the boil.
So Parker, I've got the water here on the bones and your carrots, onion, and celery here. Is this the right amount of water for the...
Yes, this is fine. You always want to make sure that the water is at least 2, but maybe 3 or 4 inches above the bones, because when you start trying to skim it, you can't do it very easily if you have bones sticking up there. So this is good.
Parker, we now got our bones underwater. What's the next step in the process?
We're going to put it over the flame and bring it to a boil. Stock has come to a boil nicely, and you can see we're getting foam and scum over here and over here. So this is when we want to remove as much of that as possible. So now it is important to talk about the temperature. You don't want it to boil and boil and boil. No, then it'll get very, very cloudy. So we'll lower the temperature, lower the temperature, lower the temperature, and get it down to where it just bubbles a little bit from time to time. It never is a rolling boil. And of course, this is when you want to add a couple of bay leaves and a couple of branches of thyme. Now, after an hour, you're going to check, and if you need more water, add more water. How do you determine when am I finished? When am I finished? Well, you have to have at least 3 hours. But if you have a pair of tongs and you start picking up the turkey back or something, and you move it around and it's starting to fall apart, you're getting there. You don't want to go so long that you're starting to get a little bitterness into the stock. When the bones fall apart, that you're finished. You're ready to go. Well, we've waited about 4 hours now, and this stock looks really, really good. I think we did a great job. So I have all of the pieces ready. That's very important. Don't start and say, oh, I forgot I have to have the cloth in there. No. So I have an empty pot like this, and I have the strainer, and in it I have a wet towel, cloth, and that is wet with cold water. So now I'll pour this stock through the strainer, and eventually you'll have to kind of regroup and put the pan down and maybe take out some of the bones. In fact, I'm going to stop now and I'm going to take out some of these because they are very large, and that would be not very pleasant if one of those fell out, and then it will pour very, very easily. Into the other pot with the, see, very good.
So Parker, now we're on the next morning, and the stock was made last night, put in the refrigerator, and it looks like it's starting to get a little bit thicker here, huh?
Yes, right. When you strain this after the 3 or 4 hours of cooking, it'll be just the same consistency of water with color. Then overnight in the refrigerator, the gelatinous qualities are going to take place, and you'll see that the fat is all come to the top, and it is not thick, but it is starting to get some thickness to it, that sort of like the early stages of Jell-O, you might say. So this is what we want to do now. One of the goals is to have a stock that has good flavor, depth of flavor, but does not have fat in it. Because when you start boiling it for a soup or for a gravy or a sauce, that fat will change the texture and the mouthfeel of it. So I'll just go over it like this and try to take most of this off, and I can. And then I'll tell you another way to do it that'll work, even better. And that would be to have another pot about this size. And if you have a strainer and you have a wet towel, cold water, wet towel, put it in the strainer and you pour this through, and the fat is going to be in that cloth, not in your stock. If this were a little bit warm for some reason or other and you were in a hurry, you could put a lot of ice cubes into that wet cloth in that strainer and pour it over the ice cubes, and the ice is going to grab a lot of that fat. So either way, it can be done. And of course, there could be a little droplet of fat here and there, and that's not going to have any great impact. But to have all this fat and then continue, it would make your soup, your sauce, or whatever, not have a nice texture and not a nice mouthfeel to it.